Many years ago, my dear husband and I visited the capital city of the Republic of Serbia during an autumn week. We wanted to see places where many of the most controversial disputes in history had unfolded across different periods. As teenagers in the 1990s, we had met several young refugees who had experienced the horrors of the Balkan conflict. Some of them harbored hatred towards the Serbs, while others defended the emotional nationalistic sentiments tied to a vision of a greater Serbian identity.
This is Belgrade, the proud capital city of Serbia. A fantastic nation has always balanced itself between the crescent and the cross, the east and the west, the pragmatic thinking and the contemplative intuition, last and not least, between the free market economic philosophies and the socialistic planning economic doctrines.
The Danube River flowed through Belgrade, bringing together people shaped by diverse religious traditions and cultural norms. For me, it represents not only diversity, but also the enduring thread of a complex history, one that continues to influence how ordinary people perceive those who identify with different national identities, political views, or religious affiliations. As teenagers, we often wondered why individuals could not move beyond historical grievances and simply make the most out of the present. Now, as adults, we are more inclined to explore and understand the perspectives that still shape how different groups view those who do not share their beliefs, or how those perceptions continue to influence both regional dialogue and historical scholarship.
Just being surrounded by all those beautiful costumes, you feel Serbian culture is not only a vibrant, sophisticated culture, it's a culture of joy, it's a culture of energy.
Beyond the colorful traditional costumes, there was a persistent struggle to define a widely accepted national identity. The region was shaped by three major empires: the Habsburg Empire, which promoted Roman Catholicism, the Russian Empire, which supported Eastern Orthodoxy, and the Ottoman Empire, which was Islamic. These powers influenced Slavic culture development through their political and economic system as well as religious patronage, while also fostering varying degrees of cultural interaction. Rather than creating a unified culture synthesis, these influences often reinforce divisions. Many groups sought to preserve what they saw as the purest form of their culture, both as resistance to foreign rule and as a way to assert identity and self-reliance during a time of growing nationalism.
Behind me is this handsome Orthodox cathedral, and the name of this cathedral is St. Mark. And this cathedral is really not a very old cathedral, although the architect style is a mixture of both the vibrant Byzantine style and the typical Serbian Orthodox building construction techniques. And this church was actually erected somewhere around 1930s.
Orthodox Christianity has been rooted in the Balkan region since the early formation of the First Serbian Kingdom. Over the course of history, Serbian Orthodox communities developed distinct traditions that set them apart from Greek, Russian, and other Orthodox branches. One of the most cherished customs is the celebration of a family patron saint known as Slava. This annual holiday is marked by a festive gathering of symbolic foods such as bread, wine, and boiled wheat, along with candles that illuminate the home. During periods of rule by the Habsburg and Ottoman empires, maintaining these traditions became especially important as a way of preserving culture and religious identity.
This princess residence is one of Belgrade's most wonderful tourist attraction, and the whole house is decorated in accordance to the Balkan Oriental interior design style, which was fashionable in the beginning of the 19th century. And this is really truly a very special fusion between the European style and the wonderful, colorful Anatolian mesmerizing colors.
The Ottoman invasion left a lasting imprint, and resistance to rule by an Islamic empire continues to shape the national narrative of identity. In some predominantly Orthodox communities, prejudice still persists, and people may make dismissive jokes based on stereotypical images of conservative Muslim communities, despite Serbia's legal protections for religious freedom. As a teenager, I experienced firsthand how people from different regions project their prejudice onto each other, sometimes subtly and sometimes more openly. Throughout my teenage years, I was exposed to many different explanations for why war broke out on the Balkan Peninsula. Some accounts were deeply emotional and filled with personal judgments, while others focused on socialistic economic policies, arguing that a state which continuously subsidized goods to keep its citizens satisfied would eventually face bankruptcy. When speaking with newly arrived refugee teenagers at school, I encountered a complex mix of anger, confusion, and resentment. Many of them were friends, despite identifying with different ethnic and national groups. Yet, whenever the conflict was discussed, it quickly became clear where their loyalties lay. I have often wondered why Tito was respected for so many years by people from such different backgrounds in such a complex region. He was neither a highly educated academic, equally versed in Marxism and free market economics, nor a pragmatic problem solver known for exceptional skill in managing economy.
This uniform was used by the famous Yugoslavia communist leader Joseph Tito, and I still remember the time when I was really young. I've really seen him dressed in this handsome uniform on the silver screen. In that time, I really didn't understand who he really was.
It is remarkable that a Catholic Croat could be respected by so many people across Yugoslavia. Unlike many communist leaders from the Warsaw Pact countries, Tito was not widely despised among Yugoslavia diaspora communities. Many years after his death, teenage refugees from the Balkan region still spoke of him with admiration, describing him as a sympathetic man who wanted to protect everyone's best interests. At the same time, more declassified material that emerged in the 1990s revealed aspects of the system that many former citizens had not fully recognized, including prison camps for political opponents, extensive censorship, and a sophisticated intelligence apparatus designed to monitor public opinion. Even now, I sometimes remain puzzled by Tito's lasting popularity, especially given the serious economic problems that developed under his rule, and the fact that Yugoslavia faced severe financial difficulties long before its eventual collapse.
Tito was definitely a very profound traveler, and look at this. This is our king, the king of Sweden, Carl Gustaf. Aren't you proud of being a Swedish citizen when you see a picture like this? He was still young, he was still handsome, and he was still very fond of meeting new people.
Tito was one of many political leaders who often wore a military uniform when meeting dignitaries in Belgrade or abroad. Beyond personal style, the uniform likely carried symbolic meaning. Firstly, it projected authority in a traditional, almost imperial manner, recalling the military prestige of earlier European elites, such as those of the Habsburg era. Secondly, it reinforced his legitimacy as the leader of the partisan resistance during the Second World War, in contrast to those factions in Yugoslavia that collaborated with Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy.
Tito was definitely a charismatic communist leader, and when his birthday arrived, when he was alive, people in Yugoslavia often celebrated his birthday lavishly in the contemporary North Korean style. Just look at this mass game. People were really involved. He was a rather popular communist leader.
I often ask myself whether it is easier to become an admired political leader by speaking in emotional terms when answering questions, rather than by discussing socio-economic relationships with carefully chosen academic language. How do we judge the reliability of a political leader in general, and how can we assess the real consequences of a political decision when we have only limited information about a complex political system? When watching the disturbing documentary about how the Yugoslavia government sent political prisoners to a beautiful Adriatic island and beat them as though they were medieval captives, I find it difficult to believe that Tito was a benevolent dictator. Is it not dangerous for an organization to rely entirely on the judgment of one person? Every decision he made affected the lives of many people. The wounds created under his rule continued to resonate and later contributed to one of the most tragic calamities in modern Europe. While walking around Belgrade and people watching, we began discussing what matters most in shaping self-image, the assumptions attached to group identities, or the possibility of discovering who we are before conforming to labels imposed by society. We wondered whether we can truly understand ourselves before gradually adopting an identity shaped by others who carry the same social labels. We also reflect on how such identities influence the way we see ourselves and the choices we make throughout life. If we lived in a time when a nation was being torn apart by an identity crisis, would we be more likely to take up arms and fight for the superiority of a particular belief or identity? Would we defend the condemned group simply out of kindness, or would we choose to leave and migrate as far away as possible?